What is going on, Chelsea fans? Welcome back to From the Shed. And now today we're taking a break from the pitch because there has been some breaking news, some massive news coming out of Chelsea yesterday, all surrounding one of the key figures why Chelsea Football Club is where Chelsea Football Club is of today. And that is all around Roman Abramovich. Now, let's not discredit anything Roman Abramovich has done. He is the reason modern day Chelsea fans have had to see and got to see some amazing times, trophies being lifted, Champions League, Premier Leagues, FA Cups, League Cups. That is all down to one man, Roman Abramovich. Now, ever since the sale of Chelsea Football Club in 2022, there has been a 2.5 billion elephant in the room, and that is the sale of Chelsea Football Club that Roman Abramovich was forced to do back in 2022. Now, the UK government and Keir Starmer, predominantly Keir Starmer and his party behind him, are forcing Roman Abramovich by next week to give the green light to release those funds. But Roman Abramovich is not going out without a fight, and he's clapped back. Roman Abramovich has had his say on what he thinks needs to happen to the 2.5 billion and all the things that surround it as well. We're going to get into all of that in this video. Yeah, this situation has turned into a complete financial toxic situation, not just for Roman Abramovich, but now Keir Starmer and Yvette and the UK government. Make sure you smash the like button if you're new around here. Let's get straight into the details of why Roman Abramovich is ready for an all-out war against the UK Prime Minister. Now, before we get into the legal threats, we need some context on why this is personal, not just for Roman. It's not just about Roman, but for Chelsea fans as well. For us Chelsea fans, this is very, very personal. To really understand why this is such a massive deal, we have to look back at the law of the Roman Emperor at Stamford Bridge. Now, when Roman bought Chelsea Football Club in 2003 for £140 million, which sounds like nothing, chump change, he changed English football forever because 19 major trophies followed. 19 major trophies followed. 5 Premier Leagues, 2 Champions League, a Club World Cup. He basically completed football. Let's be honest, he completed all the football. He wasn't just an owner. He wasn't just the owner of the football club. He was one of the fans. He was one of us. He lived and he breathed Chelsea Football Club. But then came 2022. Now, this is where everything, as Chelsea, I remember exactly where I was this day. The sudden UK sanctions meant that Roman was essentially forced overnight to sell the football club. Do you remember those dark weeks, those dark days? They were mental. They were crazy. We couldn't even sell merchandise or match tickets at one point. Like, if you remember, there's the whole clip about Thomas Tuchel. We'll get there by plane, land, sea. We'll get there by, if I've got to drive the bus myself, we're going to get to these matches. We couldn't sell anything. And then when we finally agreed to sell the club to Todd Bowley and Clearlake Capital, Roman actually wrote off £1.5 million of debt at Chelsea Football Club. Now, that was a loan that he'd pumped into the club over 2 decades just to ensure the club survived and didn't go into administration. Now, that context is absolutely crucial right now because Roman feels like it's already made unprecedented financial sacrifices to save our football club, to save the club that he loves as well. While in the UK, the government has constantly treated him like a villain. They've constantly painted Roman Abramovich to be a villain. And let's be honest, for Roman Abramovich, this is like 2.5 billion isn't just about the money, it's about his legacy. It's about his reputation. It's about refusing to be bullied by politicians, because that's what it comes down to. They're basically using him as the PR stunt, his wealth as the PR stunt. That's all it comes down to. And I've done videos on this before, but now I feel like Roman Abramovich has had enough. I feel like Roman Abramovich has said, you know what? Let's fight fire with fire. Let's put them to the test. Let's put the UK government to the test and see what they're all about. Let's see if they're really going to do what they say they're going to do. So let's break it all down exactly. What happened this week? Well, when Clearlake brought Chelsea in May 2022, the proceeds, now that's around £2.5 billion, were frozen. It was frozen into a bank account, belonging to Roman Abramovich, actually. The account where the funds are being held in a company called Fordstam Limited. Now, back in December 2025, Prime Minister Keir Starmer basically gave Roman a final warning. He said that the clock is ticking. That's what they were his words. He gave Roman Abramovich an absolute ultimatum of March 17th, which is next week, to release those funds. He said, you got to release these funds. You got to make sure that these funds are available, or you're going to face confiscation. Now, for those that don't know what confiscation means, it basically means that there's a law, an act that was brought in 2002, which is basically where you can do cash seizure, forfeitures, cash seizures. You can basically instruct receivers to come and take funds from something that is potentially ill-gotten gains. That's basically what confiscation means. Now, the government insists that every single penny of the 2.5 billion must exclusively go to humanitarian causes inside Ukraine. Now, that's also another key point to this whole discussion. Now, the Foreign Secretary, Yvette, has publicly demanded that Abramovich do the right thing, warning that the government will step in if he doesn't. Now, I think that's crazy because there's a couple of things to pick off already. It's Roman's money. Roman is still theoretically, now the government have frozen the account. They've frozen the account, but the money is theoretically still Roman Abramovich's. We're going to get into that in a minute as well. But Roman Abramovich is not backing down because his lawyers have sent a blistering letter to the government, and they are claiming that the UK government has zero legal basis to try and threaten Roman Abramovich. They literally don't have anything to hold as leverage against Roman Abramovich in this situation. And they're basically saying that his legal team have made it clear now that this is basically it's not legal what they're doing. It's not legal what the government are doing at all. The sale of the club was mental anyway, but now Roman's fighting back. Roman is saying, I'm going to fight back. If you try and take my money, I'm going to fight you. I'm going to go into the court. And look, I remember doing a video about this last year, probably even December and before then. I remember saying, if they try and take on Roman Abramovich, good luck to them. Because I think Roman wins. I think legally, Roman wins because there's no evidence. The key thing here is evidence. There's no evidence to say that Roman Abramovich has done anything wrong. There's no evidence that I'm aware of. Now, yes, we know that Roman Abramovich is not the squeaky clean person that some Chelsea fans might paint him out to be, but where's the evidence to say that what he's been doing has been funding Russia? That's the bit I don't think we've got the evidence for. Now, if we don't have evidence and Roman Abramovich does take the UK government to court, it's not looking good for them. It's not looking good for them. Now, here's where the controversy is, because the major disagreement lies, and I want to know your thoughts on this as well, so leave your thoughts in the chat. The UK government says that the 2.5 billion must be ring-fenced solely for the victims of those in Ukraine. However, Roman Abramovich has stated that from the very beginning that he wants the funds to support all victims of conflicts. So reports are suggesting that his wording leaves the door open for money to potentially benefit wounded Russian soldiers as well, which the UK government is absolutely refusing to allow. Now, on top of that, there is a massive legal hurdle because Fordstam Limited, which, as you remember, is still owned by Roman Abramovich, actually owes over 1.4 billion to another one of Roman's companies, Camberley International Investments. But that company has had $1 billion frozen by a government in Jersey due to ongoing criminal investigations into his wealth. Now, again, I'm going to have to say that on record, I don't know if there's any real substantial evidence. Now, investigation is one thing, but evidence is something that you need to be able to get any kind of conviction. So I don't know if there's any real clear, and I'm going to say that again, clear evidence that shows Roman Abramovich has done anything criminally or any other way, any wrongdoing. So I don't know that. So I'm going to put that out there. Now, if there is, of course, investigation happens, things will go to court, things might come out. But as it stands right now, whilst I'm doing this video, I've never seen any evidence to say he's done anything wrong. So maybe that's a bit of my naivety, but I don't think had he done something wrong, it would be an issue for the government to just release that funds from his account and pay it over to the Ukraine. So there's something that's stopping the UK government doing that, in my opinion. In my opinion. So I think because that billions is held up in Jersey, Roman Abramovich's lawyers are arguing that they can't release the funds for the Chelsea money while the Jersey investigation is still active, because it's just going to leave everything legally a mess. It's going to leave everything a mess legally. So crunch date, March 17th, which is what, next week. What actually happens if the deadline passes and Roman hasn't budged? Now, there are three main outcomes that I think might happen here, and none of them are actually simple. Now, the nuclear option, the UK government attempts an unprecedented legal seizure of the 2.5 billion. Now, that could try to pass emergency legislation to forcefully confiscate the funds from Fordstam Limited. Now, if they do this, it still sets a terrifying precedent. And this is where I keep saying, it's seriously, what the government are doing is absolutely mental. I'm surprised there's not more people talking about this. This is happening in broad daylight, 4K, 8K. This is happening. So it sets a precedent for any foreign investor in this UK, in the UK. If anything like this happens again, foreign investors are now going to think twice about pumping their money into England or into the United Kingdom, because look how they're treating a billionaire. So this could have wider ramifications to just the investment of the country. But no one's thinking about that. Now, you can bet Roman, you can bet Roman's legal team will drag this through the highest courts in the land. Because they will. They're not going to go out without a fight, 100%. They will go to the European, European Human Rights Court? They could then freeze the money for many, many years. So this could go through years of litigation, meaning that basically it drags out for years. No one gets a penny. The funds stay where they are. Now that's a nuclear option. That could actually happen. Now, there is wriggle room. There is moments where you might see the two UK government, the UK government come together with Roman Abramovich's legal team, meet in the middle, last minute compromise. Now that could happen behind closed doors. Maybe the government agrees to allow, a truly independent foundation like the one that spearheaded the Mike Penrose a few years ago, just to distribute the funds. So, that's kind of without the government being heavily involved in it as well. But that would probably satisfy some of Roman's demands in terms of making sure that there are funds dispersed where he wants them to go. It is his money at the end of the day. And then it kind of takes away that demand from Keir Starmer that it all has to go to Ukraine, which I think, for me, would be the most logical. But then you've got option 3, which is basically the ultimate stalemate. Now, March 17th comes and goes. The government issues more media threats, which I think is crazy anyway. Like, why are they going straight to the media about this? This is nuts. This is absolutely mental. But again, I reckon this could happen because I think the UK government are going to realize that they don't have a leg to stand on. And legally, their hands are tied. They can't go and just pinch £2.5 billion from someone. Because of the Jersey investigation. And that is heavily linked to what's happening here as well. Now, the money just sits rotting in a frozen account while politicians are taking cheap shots at Roman Abramovich. I think that's the likelihood. Now, Roman is unlimited resources. He's got, look, we've seen Roman's legal teams in the past. They don't mess around. So I would put money on it that Roman's legal team, single-handedly, actually, we could give some of the legal team the day off. But I think half of his legal team could easily take on Keir Starmer and his clowns in his party, in the UK government right now. I think Roman Abramovich's team is heavily stacked, qualified to do the job that they need to do. And let's be honest, this is illegal, what they are doing. The government are trying to rob 2.5 billion without sufficient evidence. And when I say sufficient evidence, I'm talking damning evidence that bangs you to rights. If there's none of that evidence there, they have to let that 2.5 billion go, because this investigation's been going on for nearly 3 years now. That's all I think on it. That's all I think on it. But I do think Roman will fight this. I really do think Roman's going to fight this to the very end. So look, we're literally days away from March 17th deadline. And it looks like they're heading straight into what is going to be, I think, a historic court battle between Roman and Keir Starmer and Yvette Cooper. Now, I want to pass this over to you as Chelsea fans. I want you guys, how do you view this situation given everything Roman did for our football club? So don't separate the two. Keep the two together. Think about Roman Abramovich, the owner, Roman Abramovich, the person, not just about Chelsea Football Club. Think about what he did around the surrounding areas, what he's done for the borough of Chelsea as well. Let's have it right. Let's think about what he's done as well. Now, do you think the UK government is overstepping by threatening to confiscate his money? Should Roman Abramovich just sign it off? Should he just say, actually, you know what? You know, you take the money if you want, but I need to know what you guys think in the comment section. So get in the comments right now. Let me know your thoughts. I'll be replying to as many as I can. So I appreciate everyone on our last couple of videos. You've been brilliant in terms of the comments. So make sure you subscribe. Don't miss the second upload. There's going to be a match preview of PSG later on today as well. Up the Chelsea. We'll be back soon.